there is just way too much to say about Rehmannia glutinosa, Sheng Di Huang, Sheng Di Huang, Gun Di Huang, Di Sui. There's so many names for this herb. Di Huang, let's just start with that, right? So land yellow, or Sheng Di Huang raw land yellow, or Gun Di Huang dried land yellow, or Shu Di Huang cooked land yellow. This herb, Rehmannia glutinosa, is used in so many formulas, mainly deficiency taxation formulas, but also adapted over the generations to treat so many different diseases. Originally in the Shennong Bensao Jing, Shennong talked about this herb as, supplementing the bones and the sinews, for center taxation, deficiency taxation in the center, for replenishing marrow, regenerating muscles and flesh. But in general, it's for taxation, right? That's all well and good for treating taxation, but you don't just take this herb. It has to be prepared in particular ways, because taxed people are taxed, so they can't absorb the herb that they might need. This herb is very difficult to absorb into the body. So, and incredible alchemists and scholars and clinicians and practitioners of Chinese medicine develop different techniques for this to be absorbed into the digestive system through various administration techniques. That is the key. Preparation is the absolute key with this herb. So it starts as a root tuber, right? Large root tuber, pulled out of the ground, bright yellow, hence the name Huang, right? When it's first pulled out of the ground, so this is an example of it being pulled out of the ground and sliced and dried very gently over a long period of time to retain the signature of the herb, the yellow of the herb. If it's not done like this, which is very rare to get it like this, it dries, and it dries black. Okay, so obviously yellow and having the association with this earth, with this land, but then black having the signature with water, okay, and the kidneys. So when it dries, this is the same herb, but then dried, it dries very dark, very black, and it's extremely sticky and cloying for the digestive system. This is an example of some organic ones, and then we have some same sort of, just a different cut, basically a smaller piece, just to make it more easier to decoct. And then when it's prepared, this is a special preparation which I'll talk about in a little bit. So the main point in when you prepare Sheng Di, Rehmannia glutinosa, or Di Huang, is how it's administered, right? So typically, in all the formulas of the Shanhanlun and the Jingwei Yaowei, those are the canonical texts in Chinese medicine for formulas. Those formulas all utilize alcohol, with the exception of one, and that's just the nature of Chinese medicine. There's always the exception of this. There's 5 elements and then there's an extra one, or there's 6 divisions and then there's like this, then this, when this is combined. It's so frustrating for like mathematicians or OCD people. Don't know who they would be, but that's possible. So the alcohol is an absolute necessity. And at that time, what was available was rice wine, like sake, yeah? So all these formulas utilize sake. So Shen Qi 1 is the most famous, okay? So that's the kidney qi pill. That formula should be taken. When it's taken, it has Gun Di Huang, like dried Rehmannia, which is this one here. This is what it has inside it, right? So this is the herb that should be used in Shen Qi 1. No other, or Jingwei, it's also known as Jingwei Shen Qi 1 or Bawei Di Huang 1, etc. But this is the herb that should be used. You shouldn't be using Shou Di, you shouldn't be using fresh Sheng Di, you should be using Gun Di Huang, so dried Rehmannia. That herb is very difficult to digest, and so what Zhang Zhongjing did when he wrote those formulas was whether he wrote those formulas, but when he administered those formulas, he used alcohol, right? And alcohol helps to allow the herbs to go into the bloodstream much more easy, right? It bypasses. So in pill form, the herb doesn't absorb into the body until it hits the small intestine. So it goes into the stomach, it doesn't get broken up, it's broken up to a degree, but the main absorption happens in the small intestine. And alcohol acts as a carrier to get it through the walls of the small intestine directly into the bloodstream. If you don't have it with alcohol, patient is going to get bloated and they're going to get loose stools. Guaranteed. Well, most of the people, unless they've got very, very strong digestive systems. But those people aren't taxed, they probably don't even need the formula in the first place, right? It's for those taxed people who do have digestive problems because of whatever their illness is, they can't absorb it and therefore they need alcohol to absorb it into the body. Alcohol is absolutely imperative in this herb. So, for example, Sheng Di Huang, like I mentioned, even in decoction form, so Zhegan Xiaotang, right? It's cooked with alcohol. Right? If you go through all the formulas in the Shannan Za Bin Lun, I won't bore you with them all, but if you go through each one of them, you'll see that they do use alcohol, Da Hong Zhou Chuan, etc. With the exception of one, so Bai He Di Huang Tang. But that's because you're taking Rehmannia, you're cooking it by itself, you're sipping, taking the juice and putting it with the Bai He. So that's a different scenario, right? Because you're not actually digesting, you're not actually eating the actual herb, or eating the raw aspect of that herb. As soon as you are, you need alcohol. Okay, I think I've made my point. In later dynasties, this was adapted in different ways. So when the formula Sheng Di Huang, Ba Wei Di Huang, Jing Wei Sheng Di Huang was adapted to children in Li Wei Di Huang Wan, and when a couple of the herbs Guizhou and Futsu were removed, and the formula was mainly for taxed children, the formula was used Shu Di Huang, so cooked Rehmannia, right? Cooked Di Huang, which is this. Now, just cooking it is one thing, but cooking it well is a totally different thing. So this particular Shu Di Huang is the one that's used in Li Wei Di Huang Wan. This is the best Shu Di on the planet. I've never seen anything in all my, if anyone knows anywhere better that you can find this is the best thing I've ever seen. It tastes delicious. It's super easy to absorb. The reason is, it's not just because it's cooked once, it's because it's cooked 9 times, right? Steamed 9 times. So the plant is originally prepared, it's pulled out, it's taken, it's steamed, it's dried, it's steamed with aromatic herbs like sharen, chenpi, right, etc. It's used, they use vinegar, using rice wine. There's a number of series. The technique of this 9 times steaming is very well, it's a guarded secret to a degree on how people do it in particular ways. So this comes from an absolute national treasure in Taiwan, master herbalist, like master of the master herbalists in Taiwan. And we love this guy to bits and support him as much as possible because no one does it better than him. So this is the herb you want to use when you're using Li Wei Di Huang Wan. Okay, so this is just a very, very general overview on the complexities of Sheng Di, Rehmannia glutinosa, Chinese foxglove, whatever you want to call it. Hope it's informative.